Look, bro, the whole time, right? My baby mom been doing whole shit the whole time.
Every day I'm learning that the real flex is just being in love with yourself and ignoring the world and knowing that you the shit.
I was trying to call her and she wasn't answering. I was trying to call her son. He wasn't answering.
Jasmine Clack spent her whole life reading other people's futures. Tarot cards, spiritual cleansings, warning folks about their toxic exes. Shas the Reader, they called her. People would pay good money for her to tell them when to run from a dangerous situation. But when it came to her own life, girl couldn't or wouldn't read a room. Now, before you all start with the "she should have known better" comments, let me paint you a picture. This man, Alonzo, posted on Facebook in March, talking about, "She don't go to clubs. I don't go to clubs. She don't go in stores. She get it home delivered. She not outside every day trying to be seen."
There are some days that change a community forever. Days that start like any other. The sun rises, kids get ready for school, neighbors go about their routines, and then, without warning, everything stops. February 1st, 2025 was one of those days for the people of Copperas Cove, Texas. It was just before noon. A quiet Saturday morning on Tanner Drive, a residential street like so many others, lined with homes, families, ordinary life. But at approximately 11:48 in the morning, emergency services received a call that shattered that calm. A woman had been shot inside a home on that very street. Police officers arrived quickly. And what they found when they walked through that front door, a door that was slightly open, was heartbreaking. A woman, lying inside, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. EMS rushed to her side. They did everything they could right there in that home. Then they transported her to Advent Health Central Texas, hoping and working to save her life. But despite everything, despite every effort made by the paramedics, the nurses, the doctors, she did not survive. She died from her injuries at the hospital. Her name was Jasmine Tashawn Clack. She was 31 years old. As police secured the scene, they began the difficult work of piecing together what had happened. Officers interviewed people in the area, neighbors, witnesses, anyone who might have seen or heard something. And fairly quickly, a picture began to form. Investigators identified a suspect, someone who, they would later confirm, was known to Jasmine. They found him at a nearby hotel and took him into custody without any struggle. But even as the investigation moved forward, the community was left in shock. A woman was gone, and the questions, the painful, heavy questions, were just beginning. Before we go any further, I want to take a moment. Because it's easy, in stories like this, for the victim to become just a name, a headline, a case number. And that's not who Jasmine was. Jasmine Tashawn Clack was born on August 31st, 1993. She grew up, built a life, and made her home right there in Copperas Cove, Texas. She was 31 years old, young, full of life, with so much still ahead of her. But more than anything else, Jasmine was a mother. She had 5 children, 5 kids who needed her, loved her, and depended on her every single day. And by all accounts, she showed up for them. Completely. The kind of mother who was present, really present, in her children's lives. Her days revolved around them, getting them where they needed to go, making sure they were fed, cared for, loved. That was her world. Her older sister, Chantel Clack, would later speak publicly about Jasmine, and what she said was simple and powerful. She said Jasmine's children were everything to her, that they were the center of her life, that every morning she woke up, it was for them. People who knew Jasmine described her as someone who was warm, present, and engaged with the people around her. She had relationships with family, with friends, with her community. She wasn't just passing through life. She was living it, building it, pouring into the people she loved. She wasn't famous. She didn't have a platform or a public persona. She was a regular woman, doing the quiet, demanding, beautiful work of raising children and holding her family together. And that is exactly why her death matters so deeply. Because the world lost someone real. Someone irreplaceable. And 5 children lost their mother. Let me take you back to that morning, because I want you to understand how this day unfolded, how a normal Saturday became the worst day this family had ever known. Somewhere on Tanner Drive, in a home in a quiet residential neighborhood, something went terribly wrong. We don't know exactly what was said or what happened in the moments before the gunshot was fired. The full picture of those final moments has not been made public. But we know the outcome. At 11:48 in the morning, someone called emergency services. A woman had been shot. Officers arrived at the scene and found the front door slightly open. They entered and found Shasmine inside, wounded. EMS personnel worked on her immediately, right there in that house. Their goal was singular: keep her alive long enough to get her to the hospital. She was transported to Advent Health Central Texas. The medical team there did everything in their power, but the injuries were too severe. Shasmine Tashawn Clack was pronounced dead. Back at the scene, detectives and crime scene investigators got to work. They secured the perimeter. They documented everything: bullet casings, physical evidence, the layout of the room. They interviewed neighbors. They spoke to anyone who might have seen something, heard something, known something. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, at a nearby hotel, the suspect was still there. He hadn't gone far. And within a short time, based on the information investigators had gathered, law enforcement located him and brought him into custody. No chase. No confrontation. Just a quiet arrest that marked the beginning of a long legal process. But for Shasmine's family, there would be no quiet. Only grief. Only the long, hollow silence of a life suddenly missing from theirs. And that leads us to one of the hardest moments in this story, the moment her sister Chantel found out. Chantel Clack tried to call her sister that day. It sounds so simple when you say it like that. She tried to call her. But when Shasmine didn't pick up, Chantel didn't panic right away. You try again. You leave a message. You try another number. Maybe her son's phone this time. You wait. And then someone tells you. A family member. A few words that change everything. Your sister has been shot. I cannot imagine what that moment felt like. The disbelief. The desperate hope that it isn't as bad as it sounds. The fear that it is. And then, eventually, the confirmation, the worst kind, that Shasmine was gone. Chantel would go on to speak with reporters in the days that followed. She talked about who her sister was. She talked about those 5 children. She talked about the kind of mother Shasmine had been: dedicated, present, irreplaceable. And in doing so, she gave the world a glimpse of the real person behind the headlines. The community of Copperas Cove responded with grief and with love. On social media, messages poured in: condolences, prayers, expressions of sadness from people who knew Shasmine and from people who had never met her but felt the weight of her loss. Because some stories touch something in all of us. A mother of 5. Gone too soon. That lands somewhere deep. A balloon release was organized for Sunday, February 9th, near Tanner Drive and Anderson Avenue, close to where Shasmine had spent her last moments. People were asked to come with balloons and candles, to stand together, to remember. A GoFundMe campaign was also started by friends and family to help cover funeral costs, to support the children, to hold the family together in the immediate aftermath of an unimaginable loss. The Copperas Cove Police Department released a formal statement extending their deepest condolences to Shasmine's family. They confirmed the investigation was ongoing. They promised to keep working. But no investigation brings someone back. And for 5 children who lost their mother that Saturday morning, no justice fully fills that void. The man arrested in connection with Shasmine's death was 27-year-old Alonzo Ezekiel Hunter from Beaumont, Texas. Police confirmed that he was known to Shasmine, that there was a prior connection between them, though the exact nature of that relationship has not been made public. On February 2nd, 2025, just one day after the shooting, Hunter was brought before Justice of the Peace F.W. Bill Price. He was formally charged with murder. His bond was set at $500,000. As of the latest available information, the investigation remains active. A formal motive has not been publicly announced. The forensic details, ballistic reports, gunshot residue analysis, physical evidence collected from the scene, have not been released. These things will likely come out during court proceedings, but for now, much of what happened on that morning remains officially unanswered. And that's one of the hardest parts of a story like this. The waiting, the not knowing, the family that has to sit with grief while the legal process slowly moves forward. Months can pass, sometimes longer, and while the wheels of justice turn, 5 children wake up every morning without their mother. There are questions we don't yet have answers to. We don't know exactly what led to the shooting. We don't know the full story of the relationship between Shasmine and Alonzo Hunter. We don't know what was said or done in the hours or moments before that gun was fired. What we do know is this: a 31-year-old woman, a mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend, was killed in her own home on a Saturday morning. Her community mourned her. Her family is forever changed. And her children will carry this loss for the rest of their lives. Shasmine Tashan Clark deserved better. She deserved to see her children grow up. She deserved more mornings, more laughter, more life. And it is our responsibility, as a community, as people who pay attention as human beings, to say her name, to remember who she was, and to never reduce her story to just another crime statistic. She was real. She mattered. And she will not be forgotten. If you or someone you know has information related to this case, please contact the Copperas Cove Police Department. And if this story moved you, please share it. Because the best thing we can do for Shasmine and for her 5 children is make sure the world knows who she was. Rest in peace, Shasmine. You were so much more than what happened to you. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you're watching from.